welcome back to another week of Behind the Lens. I'm Debbie Elias, film critic, creator, and host of Behind the Lens, where we go behind the lens and below the line with the movers and shakers, those film and TV and streaming makers, the producers, directors, writers, actors, cinematographers, production designers, costume designers, film editors, sound editors, mixers, and designers, those VFX gurus, composers, stuntmen and women, and so many more. And you all know how much I love film and how much I like to talk. So you put the two of those together, and it's an absolute joy to give you a front seat to the who, what, where, when, why, and how of movie and television making with these interviews. Now, today, it's all about tension and terror, blood and brutality with Anton Sigurdsson. I want to make sure I said Anton's name right. I'm not up on my Icelandic pronunciations. But yes, it is Sigurdsson. Anton Sigurdsson, psychological thriller mystery, Refuge. Basic premise. 4 estranged friends reunite on a fishing trip. But a missing child and a desperate father's accusation turn a reunion into a deadly reckoning. Brutal, bloody, lots of duct tape involved. You know I'm happy already with duct tape. If you have been following me over the past 44 years or listening to the show for the past 12, you know I get a kick out of duct tape in film and how it's used in film. Terror-filled, a twisted ending that will probably surprise most. Written and directed by Anton, Refuge has a wonderful cast. Adam Sinclair, who plays Sam. Adam Dorsey, who plays Mike. Donald Paul, who plays Barry. And Christopher Dietrick, who plays Jay. Now, behind the lens, we have high production values, thanks to cinematographer Gunnar Audum Johansson, editor Sharif M.Es, the amazing production design of Jarrett Staaf, and a score by Yu Miyashita. Now, film shot in Lake Placid. Surprisingly, the story is set outside of Philadelphia, which you get from the film's opening with a beautiful superimposed montage of multiple news reporting that covers the disappearance and presumed murder of a little girl in the area 4 years earlier. Her father was Sam, one of the 4 friends who get together at this quote-unquote cabin in the woods. Now, there's something deceptively simple about the premise of Refuge. With these 4 longtime friends and they're gathering at the cabin, Sam, though, has never recovered from the disappearance of his young daughter. The grief lingers, questions fester, and before long, suspicion turns inward, accusations fly, and the walls, both literal and emotional, begin to close in. But as Anton reveals in this exclusive conversation, Refuge is anything but simple. What unfolds on screen as a brutal, blood-soaked psychological thriller and mystery is, at its core, a meticulously engineered exercise in visual and sonic storytelling. It's one built under pressure, on the fly, and in more ways than one, discovered in the moment. As a single-location four-hander that leans heavily into performance and character dynamics, this is a structure that very easily could have been translated to the stage, and I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in his career, Anton elects to do that. But for Anton, the challenge and the opportunity was to make this unmistakably cinematic. The solution for that lies in a carefully calibrated visual grammar developed in close collaboration with his cinematographer Gunnar Audum Johansson, who is his longtime creative partner, and he instinctively understands Anton's instincts as both a storyteller and a visual architect. And that shared sensibility is key. Rather than relying on traditional coverage to build a scene in the edit, Anton and Gunnar construct tension within the frame, allowing shots to breathe, allow performance to unfold in quote-unquote real time, and let the camera movement help carry emotional weight. It's a methodology that demands precision and trust, and it pays off in a film where every visual choice feels intentional. Together, they transform the cabin into a living, breathing environment. And it's one that involves alongside the unraveling psyches of the four friends. Now, interestingly, Anton shot this in a 4:3 aspect ratio. And doing that, the film embraces a deliberately constricted frame, amplifying the claustrophobia that defines the narrative. Extreme close-ups press in on the actors, while Dutch angles subtly destabilize our sense of equilibrium as we're watching. Camera placement becomes psychological positioning, peering from upstairs to downstairs, around corners, into negative space, with each camera choice reinforcing the idea that no one in this house is ever fully at ease or fully in the clear. Now, that tonal blending, rooted in classical restraint, but energized by something more volatile, extends into every facet of the film's construction. And nowhere is that more evident than in the film's most unexpected assets, the basement and the lake. I have to talk about the basement with you. Yes, the basement. How many of the filmmakers out there right now listening to this show and on hearing Anton's interview would be jumping for joy on arriving at your location to discover there is a basement in this cabin in the woods that you were not told about that you can use for this thriller mystery? And then after getting over your joy, how many of you would be able to turn on a dime and readjust your shooting plans and production design on the fly to take advantage of this gold mine? Because having that basement at your disposal, in this case Anton's disposal, presented a tonal shift for the film. It's one thing if you've got to change locations, you've got locations selected, and then all of a sudden a location falls away. You got to find another one. Sometimes you luck out and you get an even better location. But to have something that now presents a complete tonal shift of your film, not easy. But Anton gets into all of that in this exclusive conversation and tells you how he and Gunnar and his production designer, the amazing Jarrett Staaf, played that to their advantage. And the lake? I don't know who did their location scouting, but as it turns out, there was a lake right outside the cabin. There was no need to go to the pre-planned second location. And Anton gets into these factors in the interview. It's really fun listening to him because you can hear his enthusiasm. And of course, as I already mentioned, something that always tickles me to no end in films is when we see duct tape used in excessive and or interesting ways. And that's just what we get in Refuge. And wait until you hear Anton talk about the duct tape and the budget. Yes. Does that give you any indication about what may be coming? What you're about to hear about duct tape? All of my regular listeners and readers, you know that one of my greatest expressions of duct tape love, and it's the only thing I could love about this one film, The Divide, is that we learned new uses for duct tape, but unfortunately one of them was not sealing the film canister, so we never had to see the divide. That is not the case here with Refuge. Duct tape is used beautifully, and we even get some humorous moments, particularly from Christopher Dietrick as Jay. Jay is kind of like the comedy buffoon of this group of four guys. There's always one in a group. And he has his own interesting way of handling a duct tape situation. So you got to see the film. It's on VOD now. You've got to see it. So get ready as writer-director Anton Sigurdsson discusses Refuge. highlighting, and in our conversation, we highlight the single location, four-hander format, and the character study of friendship. Now, interestingly, this is inspired by personal experiences in Iceland, which is where Anton is from. The film was shot in 11 days with a small crew and a budget-conscious approach, but not for the duct tape. Emphasizing the importance of visual storytelling, Anton talks about working with his DP, Gunnar Audum Johansson, and developing the visual grammar, using techniques like ECUs, dutching, and slow motion. Sound design was meticulously crafted to enhance the narrative with a focus on ambient sounds and a blend with Yu Miyashita's score and a mix of old and new cinematic styles. I really like the sound design and the sound edit in Refuge. And how about the tightly cut, tension-riddled editing from editor Sharif M.Es that includes some beautiful montages that really serve as exposition. So well done. And as a bonus, we even get some tidbits from Anton about his next film, A Better Place, a crime thriller that stars Theo Rossi and Billy Campbell. Personally, I think Theo Rossi is tailor-made for crime thrillers. You may all remember Emily the Criminal that he's in, and a few others. So I am just chomping at the bit for Anton's next film. But for right now, I'm happy with Refuge, and I think you will be too. So take a listen as writer-director Anton Sigurdsson talks in depth about Refuge. Hi, Anton.
Hi.
I have to commend you. I was riveted watching Refuge.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
It is such a good film. It is a great psychological thriller. You've got it limited. It's a four-hander with four guys. You're in a single location. And it lets you really hone in and focus on their dynamic and actually a character study of friendship, which I found really interesting. Your one location makes it claustrophobic, metaphorically, like the walls are closing in on these guys, as we've got Sam accusing everybody of killing his daughter, kidnapping his daughter, and everybody else denying it. But all these secrets coming out, so everybody's got reason to hate everybody else, and you expect to see this with women. Seeing this with guys was very eye-opening, and you really nailed it, Anton.
Thank you. This is basically kind of loosely based on people that I grew up with here in Iceland, which I think are very universal, though. So, and I'm really proud of how we shot the location. Like it was, on the page. Obviously, the script is how it is, but then it's a single location to kind of film so people don't get bored. Mm-hmm. And how do we move it so it's visually compelling the whole time? And I think we did a pretty good job with that in basically reintroducing spaces and new sets inside a single location film.
The fact that you have the single location and it's multi-story, so you have upstairs, you've got down the main floor, and then you've got a basement. And you really, your cinematographer, Gunnar, did an amazing job. I mean, you really keep us visually engaged. You've got extreme close-ups, you've got camera dutching, you're employing slow motion, your editing is bringing in montages, and you're really immersing us in the experience of being in this cabin with these four guys. The visual appeal is a real strong suit when you have a film like this that is so dependent upon the performance to get the emotion across to keep everybody engaged. I mean, it's a beautiful marriage that you have between story and visuals, Anton.
Yeah, thank you. And you know, I agree with you in a way, and I'm flattered to hear this from you. This could have been a play. You know,
easily.
If you think about it, this could have been a play. And, you know, that was also one of the reasons why I did it. And then I wanted to look amazing. And I wanted to the film is some different tones mixed together, and I wanted a camera movement to fit that and the editing to fit that. But at the same time, it's coming from a person who, you know, wrote it, directed it. You know, I work a lot in the edit, so it was kind of still coming through me. And then I'm Icelandic, you know, I tell stories in America. So they're maybe a little bit darker than your usual American stories and a little more art house-esque or something like that. You know, slower at times and slower cinematography. And then, you know, obviously shooting in 4.3 aspect radio kind of salutes to what you were saying about the claustrophobic framework.
Mm-hmm. You really have married story and visual together so well. Now, I'm curious, where did you get the idea for this story? The characters based on, you know, pull things from people that you've known over your life. But this is a really interesting story and angle to approach this at. So that we're starting with a dead child. And a very upset father. Kudos to Adam's performance as Sam. You really can understand Sam's driving need to know what happened to his little girl. He needs to know. Any parent would be like that. But what length will you go to? So this is a really unique story. So I'm curious where the idea came from.
So I am born and raised in a really small town in Iceland, and I am like a seventh generation storyteller. But the sixth generation ahead of me were either working at the docks or drinking at the bar or just in jail. So I come from great storytellers, but nobody of them could ever tell stories for a living, as in the profession. So we had inside our family a story that was about a terrible thing that happened, and it got resolved when a diary was found, when a house was sold.
Mm-hmm.
House was sold, a diary was found. There the family got closer in the diary. So it was a different story than Refuge, but I always lived with the diary nuance,
mm-hmm.
that a terrible thing had happened in my town, and the diary gave everybody closer. So in the end, there was a beautiful ending with that. That had been brewing in me for years. Then I am writing and doing projects, and I have these projects almost going, these big projects in America almost going, the strikes or then COVID, and then it just ended up like I just want to do a bottle film, a small film with a big heart, and do it now. I don't want to think about who has to play what. I want to find actors to fit the role. And I had this story. And so I started diving into that project and deeper and deeper and deeper. And then it was just like, okay, I know these guys. I've grown up with them. You know, some of them might say nobody's a good person. Like, maybe not. Like, you know, or they are, but we're just meeting them at this particular day. So I didn't want to do any backstory on them or what. We just figured that out. And so to go back to your question, it started as like this mythical story inside my town/family, which gave me this broader idea. Then I started casting, and through casting, talking to the talent, I could sense comedic chops of some of the actors, and I added more dark humor into it. You know, I think there's a very dark humor, and I felt that could fit in the thriller aspect of who did it, and then at the same time, you know, without spoiling anything, you don't know who did it, or maybe you just know who did it. That's okay. Or maybe none of them did it. Like, it just, I wanted those questions to be raised over that. And, yeah, I'm probably running my mouth back and forth, not answering the question. But it started at this, the core idea was two things. It was the diary idea that had been in me for years, and then I wanted to do a bottle film in one location.
You ran your mouth beautifully, Anton. Let me tell you. You answered the question perfectly as to where this story came from and how it developed. And I have to say, I love the dark humor. I love the dark humor that comes in films from Scandinavian filmmakers, from German filmmakers. It's not like American humor. And here, a lot of the humor comes through the character of Jay and Christopher Dietrick's wonderful performance. And it's just through him running his mouth and being nervous. And that nervousness it casts a shadow on him, creates ambiguity. These performances are so strong. Each one of these guys casts doubt and shadow and potential guilt on themselves before they're even pointing fingers at each other. And I love that because, as I said at the top, you expect this from women. You don't really expect it from a bunch of guys. And that's what really sets this apart, Anton. And the fact that this centers around a father who's lost his daughter, and everybody the world over knows the dynamic between a father and his daughter is one of the most precious and priceless there is. There's nothing like a daddy-daughter relationship. And for daddy to read her diary, that's another whole level that you tackle. So did you have any trepidation or think about shying away from any of these elements that you include?
No, not so. I had full creative control over this project. So if you find it bad, it's on me. If you like it, it's on the actors. So I was really much at full support from my producers. I worked with them on many occasions. I have a really small but tight group of people I work with. There was never anything. It was more, can we dig deeper in this? Can we do more here? And Christopher is from, he's born and mostly raised in Indiana. And he knew a lot of Jays. So that was also for us to kind of build that person around that. I did not have many shooting days. I shot this movie in 11 days. Which is crazy to think about it afterwards. And everybody said it couldn't be done. But what I did is I had 2 to 3 rehearsal days, which we could rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. So then when we started filming, everything kind of worked. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the backstory and the character gallery that we had was kind of built by the cast alongside me. I also shoot in a chronological order. So we could see stuff happening in real time. and go back and change, which is, every actor loves shooting in the chronological order, and that helped us a lot. So we just kind of knew, like, I had a conversation with Adam Dorsey, who plays Mike, and on day 3, he had a note, and it was true, because he could see it happening as he was doing it. So we tweaked a little bit to make it better. And that wouldn't have happened without a chronological order. But no, I was never, ever, some things here maybe might be too difficult maybe to understand on some plot lines, or maybe too nuanced or something like outside the box. I was never told to explain anything easier or never to shy away from anything. I mean, there are some gruesome scenes there.
Yes.
And and the humor was, it very dark, so I was kind of allowed to get my creative bomb out of me while doing this.
That is a luxury that so many filmmakers never get to experience, of shooting chronologically and being creative and being given creative freedom. Now, because of the very nature of this film, shooting chronologically, I am so happy that you got to do that, Anton, because it just builds the tension and it builds the emotion. Plus, it makes it a lot easier on your makeup people, because, as you said, you've got some gruesome, grisly, brutal scenes that happen here, where we've got a lot of blood, a lot of bruising, and a lot of duct tape. So that had to be very beneficial to bring you in so that you could shoot so economically and bring it in 11 days.
Yeah, I mean, we had no money, and, we were doing a scene where Mike, which is played by Adam Dorsey, is jumping on a chair, trying to reach a gun. And, he asked what happens if I break the chair. I said, then you break it. Then it's broken in the movie. There were no rules. If something happened, it would happen in the story. That has dwelled with me as I've then done another film. It just kept growing with me on that, how important chronological order is.
Right.
And we never left the scene without the actors being okay and liking what they did. And even having these few days, everybody said we couldn't do it. And I think these actors had a team around them, and they were like, I'm not sure you can pull this off. But, we all came together and put ourselves into it and made it work. Of course, continuity stuff with blood, bruising, how you are makeup-wise, very much better if it's in a chronological order, because it would have been terrible for my brain to look at continuity picture, how to do it, and that would have just made the actors be doing stuff that they, unfortunately, a lot of times have to do.
Right.
No disrespect on any process. It's just, this is, every actor loves this. And when you speak to actors, they all love it. So that was, like you said, it's a luxury.
And it just fuels the emotional tension that's happening here. Now, how did you and your cinematographer, how did you and Gunnar design your visual grammar for this film? Because it is so specific, and you utilize the camera so beautifully in terms of your close-ups, in terms of, you've got some beautiful shots from upstairs looking down into the basement, around corners. You've got negative space happening. So I'm curious how you and Gunnar developed your visual grammar.
So me and Gunnar, or Gunnar, we've been working for many years together, done a few films together, but we've also just been working together on other projects that still haven't gone. That's how filmmaking is. You always have a bunch of movies trying to get going, and then the movie that gets going, you do. So he knows me really well, and he knows that I like long takes. I don't like a lot of coverage. I like less coverage than usually is maybe done, and he understands that. So and he's such a great operator, how he operates the camera in movement, all of that, and he's just gotten better and better and better. He has operated in Iceland. He's also DP'd a lot in Iceland. So he just has many projects under his belt. How we developed the language is I had that language pretty early on because we had the location early, luckily. And we had one of the producers of the film is from that area. So he could find the cabin for us. And as soon as I saw that cabin, I was just like, we're shooting here. And the crazy part is, we didn't know until we arrived in our prep about the basement. That was, nobody had told us that. And we were like, is there a basement? And somehow we were told no. So we had designed the movie without the basement.
Oh my.
But so then we go there down and we're looking at it, and the production designer Jarrett is in with us, and we're just looking at each other. We're like, we're going here for this scene, that scene. And Gunnar is so quick on his feet, as they say, because I also shoot with a really small team. This team, the crew was documentary size. It's like 6 people.
Oh wow!
It wasn't bigger than that. It was just 6, like everybody's doing everything, and it's mostly natural lighting. So it's a very small lighting package. The lighting package fits in a regular sedan almost. So there is no big truck movement around us. So we have the luxury of time to make a decision on the spot. Just, this looks better, this works better. We have our grammar in how we want to look like, with the aspect ratio being 4.3, and I just knew I wanted that slew zooms in, those rack of focus, and all that. I wanted to use mirrors a lot, utilize them, and that all, and then I wanted to do whip pans inside of that to kind of mix up styles. And, it's 2026, I think, with how everything is, we can kind of mix old school cinema in with fresh wave of punk rock and roll. So we kind of just did that, but at the same time, it's coming from us.
Right.
It's coming through us. So the texture and the palette is from us, so it has an overall look, but a lot of ideas come together. And then, it's just, you're a student of the game. You study cinema, you learn cinema, and you make other projects. And, I write my script as well. So sometimes when I'm writing, I have the shot already mapped out. And yeah, it was just that. Just put everything in a blender, kind of, but it's still us.
Mm-hmm. I think the old school, blending it with new school rock and roll, as you say, I think it's absolutely beautiful. But oh my God, I would have been jumping for joy to all of a sudden get to my location, and there is a basement. I can't imagine your joy on seeing that basement, Anton.
Yeah, it was like, and then we almost stayed, like, my production partner from Iceland, he was like, you have to start getting up. Like, we've been there too long, because we just love being there. And that was the right call. That's correct. And then all of a sudden, we're no longer there. And we find another beautiful place. And also the beautiful windows on the house, the cabin, the lighting coming in. Then you have this unbelievable lake outside. It's just we were very lucky. We weren't supposed to shoot at that lake. We had another lake. But then we see the lake, and we're like, we're doing it here.
Yeah.
And it was just a few feet from us. We had another bigger lake. But what had happened, it had been raining. And then it stopped raining, and we're walking outside like, we're doing it here. And it just had this amazing atmosphere in it. So we were very lucky once we figured where to shoot, because I was open to shoot wherever.
Mm-hmm.
I had people with me in production who allowed me to scout all over America. We weren't locked to a location because of tax rebate or anything like that. I could just find where I wanted to film.
Oh, how nice.
And we got introduced to a person from the Midwest who then introduced us to another person, which is one of the production partners of this movie. And he is from this place, and he found that. And as soon as we had that, it was a done deal. We're filming there. It's in Lake Placid, New York, and it's just Lake Placid area, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, you see the beauty outside, but you also see the secrets that can be hidden amongst the trees and underwater and things like that. So this location was just perfect for this film, Anton. Now, I'm curious, was your editing challenging or difficult? Because you were shooting chronologically. So what did it come down to in the edit? Just trimming things to help build more tension? What was that process like for you and your editor?
Yeah, so I have a Danish editor with me. We kind of co-edit together, and mostly what we did was trim.
Mm-hmm.
It was mostly about taking stuff off, which sounds crazy when you only have 11 shooting days, that there was actually footage on the floor. Then it just started being around how can we had two scenes which we intercut. We have like this interrogation scene, and then we have them downstairs talking to each other without sound. Those two scenes in the script were two different scenes. And I felt at that time, I was like, everybody's turning off this movie now. So I kind of made the call to merge them and pick up the pacing there. And it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, sequences in the movie, and that worked. So that was probably what we spent the most time on. I usually edit for like 6 months, and then I have a very long and detailed sound design process and music process. So that's another 5 months, probably. So we had the luxury of post-production. Like, we weren't rushed to do anything. So, the editing is just also mostly about getting the correct performances and, trying this and that. Like I said, with the intercutting of the scenes. And then sound. Sound was really important. We try to tell story in sounds. We also had some footage of, like, some people would call it like a B-roll, would be picked mostly when we were having lunch. We would shoot B-roll because we didn't have time for it. And it was also just like, when do we pull that in and how do we pull that in and et cetera. So, yeah, it was a really creative and great post-production.
Well, I have to say, the sound is something I really appreciate, and the way that you have some score interspersed with the sound design, and also with the, I love the sounds within the house that you capture and that you really lean into. So talk to me about what you were looking for musically to infuse that into the story and into the sound design.
That was like, I just wanted to have a story of rhythm and story of sound. Like, why is this sound here? Like, it has to be storytelling around sound. If it's a cool sound, okay, why is it? Why does it work? So mostly we spend time on that. Why are we making this sound here? And why? And then do we play it again later on? Then, you start getting into where are we? Like, you can hear the house breathe. Like, we want to hear that. Why are we showing this footage here? What can we use with the sound? Can the sound be in this scene objective, but next scene subjective? Like, how can we pull the sound world and kind of use it for us? So one time it can be like this, and then in the scene it becomes like this. And that was, because the cinematography is very, it's a strong film visually.
Yeah.
And I wanted the audio, the sound and music to match that. So, you look at it as a boxing fight. It has to go to 12 rounds. So that was always what I was trying to go for. And I have an amazing sound team up in Denmark. And we just worked on it and worked on it and worked on it. And sometimes it's like, what if we put this filter on the voice? How does that sound? They're drunk. Okay, we have this B-roll. Can we replay that? And it kind of started being, let's do what we want. Something we've always wanted to do, but haven't been in the situation to do. But now we have a situation where we can try stuff. We can be creative. There's nobody looking over our shoulder and saying no. So that helped us. The same with music. Like, I'll put in a dirty electric score here in a dramatic scene. Let's see what it does to the scene. And kind of the contrast is so big that it brings you in. To the mind, it's like, what is this? And that was, we tried a lot of stuff. A lot of it worked well.
Wow. Yeah, because the sound really, it's impeccably done, Anton. Impeccably done. And it really, one of the great things, so often in films, and I'm sure you've seen this, when you have people in different parts of a house, especially down in a basement, when you're in a basement, it produces a very specific kind of ambient tone when you're talking or when you're yelling upstairs and somebody hears you upstairs from downstairs in the basement. And the attention to detail, the sonic attention to those kind of details just adds another whole layer to this story. I really appreciate all the work that you and your sound team put into that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that as well, because, it usually doesn't come on its own. It's basically a bunch of artists putting in hard work, and I'm very proud of the sound.
Well, you should be proud of this entire film, Anton. From beginning to end, every cinematic element is just fantastic. The performances are indelible. They're riveting. You cannot look away from these four guys. You cannot look away from what's being done to some of them brutally. It's just on every level. This is such a great, nail-biting psychological thriller. And I love it. I just love it.
Thank you so much.
Now, one last question for you, and it's a big one. How much duct tape did you use in this film, down in that basement?
A lot. It was a lot. I think the duct tape budget was higher than the whole set design itself. We kind of blew our duct tape budget pretty quickly. We made a lot of fun of it. That was a lot. That was my Icelandic production partner was not happy with how much we spent on that.
Duct tape is important, not just for on screen, but you can use it off screen too.
Yeah.
Money well spent, Anton. Very well spent.
Thank you.
Anton, this has been so wonderful getting to talk with you this morning about Refuge. I love it. I can't wait to see what you bring us next. I think A Better Place, Theo Rossi's film, is coming up from you.
Yeah, I spent last summer in New Mexico shooting a crime thriller with Theo Rossi, with Billy Campbell and Rosalind Elbay. We are now in the sound design stages, and pretty quickly will that project, in a few months, we'll be ready. So that's a very different project, much bigger. The step in the scale difference is night and day. And but at the same time, I shot in chronological order. It was hard on my AD team and my production team, but my actors loved it. And I can't wait for you to see that and talk to you about that.
I am so looking forward to it, especially with crime involved. Theo Rossi does crime films so well. It's like he was almost tailor-made because he's done. He's wonderful in them. So I'm really anxious to see A Better Place. And the fact that Billy Campbell's in it too is that's a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anton, again, thank you so much. And I definitely hope that we get to speak when A Better Place comes out. I'm dying to see it in contrast to what you've done with Refuge.
Thank you, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, Anton.
Bye-bye.
And that's all the time we have today. As you'll notice, I'm trying to bring the shows in slightly under an hour. But hey, email me. Send emails, info@behindthelensonline.net. A comment on YouTube when you listen to this or watch on YouTube or any of the podcast platforms that the show is out on Mondays. Let me know if you prefer having one talent interview or two. When there's two, it inevitably is going to run to be about a 90-minute show. But I look forward to your comments. Let me know. I'm heading off to the NAB convention to check out what's new in cameras, lighting, lensing, and more, while squeezing in another interview with the fabulous director David Mackenzie bright and early Tuesday morning. I love David's films. His last one, Relay, with Riz Ahmed, fantastic. And his new one, Fuse. Oh yeah, it's another good one. Explosive is the word I'll use. But you're going to be hearing what David has to say about Fuse on next week's show. So you got something to look forward to. Now, before I go, I got a few movie recommendations for you. Besides Refuge, which is on VOD, in select theaters right now is Aaron Davidman's American Solitaire. It's a very intense drama. That centers around gun violence, veterans, PTSD, masculinity within society. Interestingly, what Aaron does, and he comes out of a theater background. This is his first feature. What he does is he keeps the visual tonal bandwidth light, bright. So it offsets. It's a direct, contrast to the intensity and the heaviness of the themes that he's addressing in the film. It is well worth your time and money to head to a theater in select theaters now. So check it out. And opening this Friday in the United States, The 24th is the drama Kangaroo Island from director Timothy David. Now, it focuses on a family that's dealing with trauma and emotional wounds. The real beauty of Kangaroo Island, besides the naturalness and the relatability and authenticity of the story, of the characters, of the film on the whole, the beauty is that this was shot on Kangaroo Island, which is just south of Australia. It's gorgeous. I could watch the footage of the coastline and the beautiful turquoise ocean. I could watch that on a loop all day, never get tired. But I've got reviews on those films already up on the website, along with my exclusive interviews with Aaron Davidman and with Timothy David. And then more. I got a whole lot of new content that I keep pumping up on the website for you. And the movie reviews are also Rotten Tomatoes. So go to the website, check out the interviews, check out the reviews, go to the theater, watch Kangaroo Island, watch American Solitaire, sit back in the comfort of your home and watch Refuge. And until next week, I'm Debbie Elias. This is Behind the Lens.